Listen, you got to come see us when you come to New York, VP Biden.
I will.
It's a long way until November. We got more questions.
You got more questions, but I tell you, if you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black.
It don't have nothing to do with Trump. It has to do with the fact I want something for my community. I would love to see.
Take a look at my record, man. I extended the voting rights 25 years. I have a record that is second to none. The NAACP has endorsed me every time I've run. I mean, come on. Take a look at the record.
You know, I've been critical of you. I have a few things I want to talk to you about.
I know you have. Yeah. You don't know me.
No, I don't. That's why I want to get to know you today. But we got more questions.
You got more questions, but I tell you, if you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black.
It don't have nothing to do with Trump. It has to do with the fact I want something for my community.
What's something that you always carry with you?
Hot sauce.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Are you getting information right now?
Hot sauce.
Hot sauce in my bag, Swag?
Hot sauce.
Really?
Yes.
Now listen, I just want you to know, people are going to see this and say, okay, she's pandering to black people again.
Okay. Is it working?
Yeah.
Take away from the conversation.
My overall takeaway from the conversation was I heard him, talking about, things that he did for black people back in the day. But, what have you done for me lately is my motto. I see black communities all across America catching hell regardless of who's in the White House. And, people like to bring up coronavirus and how it's hitting black people the hardest. Well, that's because we have a bunch of underlying conditions created by systemic racism that have never been fixed, And like I said before, if you created legislation that hurt, then you have to create legislation that helps. It's just that simple. Like the whole system needs to be dismantled and rebuilt. And he's been a very intricate part of that system. Whether you're talking about, in 84 with the mandatory minimum sentences for drug dealers, or you're talking about 86 with the crack laws that gave you more time for crack cocaine than powder cocaine. Are you talking about the 94 crime bill? Like he was, really one of the people on the front line when it came to the war on drugs and mass incarceration. So I think that, if he wants to be president, he needs to fix that. He needs to really, really, help the people that have helped Democrats all of these years.
Now, y'all notice that ISIS doesn't even exist no more? COVID came around, killed ISIS.
I ain't heard ISIS in a minute.
Right?
I ain't heard ISIS in a minute.
COVID killed everything. 20 years we've been in the Middle East trying to get rid of terrorism. All we need is COVID.
That's why I'm so interested this year, because it's the midterm year.
So it's like, what
is the boogeyman? What is going to be the boogeyman? Who is going to be the boogeyman?
We're not scared of COVID no more. Right? So it's like, what is going to be the motherfucking thing that scares us?
We're not scared of dictatorship. We're not scared of authoritarian rule. We're not scared of minority rule. We're not.
We're not scared of nothing.
I'm hearing it. I'm listening to people be like, man, where's Trump? Get this motherfucker out of here. Motherfuckers, they feel like they would rather get it raw. Like, you know what? At least we know where that motherfucker's spent. These motherfuckers is gassing us up, lying to us, promising us shit and didn't deliver.
Like,
I cannot wait to see, and I'm already watching it. I'm watching Democrats start the campaign. They're already like, Hillary, you got to go out there and vote. Like, democracy depends on it. I'm like, when y'all gonna start governing like democracy depends on it? No, for real. Like, stop telling me that the death of democracy is upon us, but you're not governing like it is. If you're like Joe Biden gave that speech this week, he's calling out all the Republicans. Like, I'm tired of being quiet. You're tired of being quiet, but you're still being quiet about all the Democrats that are blocking your agenda. You're being quiet about the mansions and the cinemas, and the Kellys who don't want to get rid of the filibuster so you can pass voting rights. Why you not calling them out? All that shit is performative until everybody gets it across the board.
Why you not calling out AOC for going to Florida after shitting all over and catching COVID?
That don't really matter.
Oh, yeah, now it's okay.
I get it. I mean, it's hypocritical.
It's okay.
No, it's hypocritical.
Now she's talking all this shit about Florida and DeSantis, all this shit. Now she going down there partying, catching COVID. Now she can't do her job. She's sick with COVID, can't do her fucking job.
I'm with you, but it's just like, I just don't like the president. And you know what else I don't like? I don't like people in power acting like they don't have power. That's the other reason people like the Trumps of the world. That's why people like the Putins.
Because those motherfuckers in power that are doing powerful shit.
That's right.
Yes, we like it. At the end of the day.
I don't know. I don't know who the boss is.
And humans don't want to admit that shit. But we like a boss because it makes ourselves feel comfortable.
We don't like weakness.
We don't, especially in our leadership.
Democrats look weak. Democrats look weak, bro.
Soft.
It's like control your hoes.
But they
know what I mean? If you the pimp, If you the pimp,
control us.
Control your goddamn.
The only thing they are is controlling their hoes. That's
I don't want to hear about what Joe Manchin is doesn't want to do.
Yeah.
Is he the boss?
Are you the president?
All right, guys. So that is an example of almost taking the red pill. Okay, almost, right? Just like Sarah Silverman. I'm holding up to my mouth. I want to take it. I want to swallow it. However, I just can't because I want to be Team Democrat. Right? As you notice in that clip, it starts off with him basically saying, like, what is going to be the boogeyman? There's always something that the media or the politicians are trying to scare us about, right? That's just kind of how it works. And what Charlamagne the God is saying is that, okay, what is going to scare us about from the midterms? And then he brings up the whole, democracy thing, the attack on democracy. And during that conversation, you can tell that he knows that the whole save democracy thing, that democracy is under attack, you got to vote for us to save democracy, is bullshit. Right? You can tell that he knows it. He knows that it is. Okay? And this is what I've been telling people the whole time. How in the world is democracy under attack when more people voted than ever in the last election? How is democracy under attack? How are votes being suppressed when, factually speaking, this is a fact, more people voted than ever? So how is democracy under attack? How is votes being suppressed? They don't have an answer, right? And that's why, anytime you ask a Democrat or a liberal, okay, how many people's votes have been suppressed? What percentage of people's votes have been suppressed because of GOP voting laws? They can't give you a number. They can't give you an answer because they don't have any evidence, right? They're just making it up, okay? And people that are smart, right, realize that, okay, this is a lot of BS. And one thing I would challenge Charlamagne the God on, because he seems to want the Democrat agenda, right? He's mad that the Democrat agenda is not passing, right? Because he's like, well, if the Democrats are not going to pass their agenda, then we might as well have Trump, right? That's where the "where's Trump" comment comes from. Not from the fact that I think he likes Trump or that he probably would even vote for Trump. I still don't think he would, okay? He ain't built like that. But I think what he's saying is that, well, if this is what Democrats going to do, why don't we just have Trump? And I would challenge him and say, well, Charlamagne, what about what the Democrats are doing is supposed to be good for black people? You think passing this voting rights bill is going to help more black people vote? Right? Like, what is that going to do for black people? The only thing this voting rights bill is going to do, so-called voting rights, is empower Democrats. It's going to empower people to vote for more Democrats, right? That's what's going to happen because they're going to try to basically control the state elections, right? Regulate state elections from the federal level. What does that do for black people besides put more Democrats in power? Because as you can see, putting Democrats in power doesn't do anything for black folks, right? The Democrats haven't fulfilled one of their promises yet. They haven't fulfilled one of them, except, Biden saying that, hey, I might put a black woman on the Supreme Court. That's what he'll do. And he say, look, you Negroes, right? Y'all complain about me not doing anything for y'all. Look, I put a black woman on the Supreme Court. But again, I will ask, what does that do for black people? How does it help black people? It doesn't. The things that, you can make an argument might help black people, the Democrats have not done. It's not because they can't do it, it's because they simply don't want to. For example, like police reform. They simply don't want to work with Tim Scott on police reform. They simply just don't want to do it. They don't want to come to a reasonable compromise. They want to nationalize police. Tim Scott's like, no, let's take a conservative effort to police reform. Gather data, ban some of the things that everybody agrees should be banned, require body cameras, basic stuff, common sense stuff that I think most people agree with. That's what Tim Scott is proposing. Democrats are like, no. We don't want to do that. We want to go further than that. So then, instead of just compromising with Tim Scott and passing the bill just to say, hey, look, we did it. We passed the bill. We will see how it works. And then we will, maybe do more legislation in the future if necessary. Instead of doing that, they're just like, no, we're just not going to do it. Right? I mean, Democrats right out the gate, okay, reneged on their promise to get people $2,000 stimulus checks. Right? Which, I mean, hey, in hindsight, the stimulus checks probably weren't a good idea considering inflation. But I'm just saying. They said they were going to do it. And then it was like, no, we only going to give you what was it, $1,400 or something like that? That should have told you from the beginning that the Democrats are swindlers. Right? That's what they are. They'll make a whole bunch of promises just to break those promises. They have no intent on keeping them. Biden said he was going to shut down the virus. Guess what? He didn't do it. He didn't shut down the virus. You can make the argument that things are worse under Biden. And Biden inherited vaccines. So again, people like Charlamagne the God here, he seems to be coming to the light, but he's not quite there yet because his main concern is, well, the Democrats are not passing an agenda. They're not fulfilling their promises, which I 100% agree with if you agree with this stuff. But my question is, why do you agree with it? Why do you think that, we need this voting rights bill? Why do you think that's a big thing, right? Why do you think we need Biden's social spending package, his Build Back Better plan? Why do you think that's going to help black people? At the very least, when it comes to Trump has enacted policies that, at least seem to be directly beneficial towards black people, right? Or to disproportionately benefit black people. Put it that way, right? Like the First Step Act, okay? Prison reform, like opportunity zones, okay? Tax incentives basically to invest in so-called low income and downtrodden areas, right? Tax incentives. Trump proposed the Platinum Plan for Black America, which in my opinion, I think was more of an infrastructure bill, and Trump was framing that as a plan for Black America, which in my opinion is kind of genius because I would love to see the Democrats vote against it, right? But Trump actually put out things and said, hey, this is what I want to do that is going to help America, but will, benefit black folks, right? This is what Trump said. Trump actually did it. He actually came to the table with that. What have the Democrats done? Nothing, right? Nothing. Biden didn't even feel the need to sit down with Ice Cube to articulate a plan that he might have, to get any feedback from Ice Cube or share any ideas.
After days of being bashed for working with President Trump, rapper and actor Ice Cube says that he is setting the record straight.
I'm not playing no more of these games, these political games. We're not part of a team.
Rapper Ice Cube speaking out during an interview on CNN, reacting to harsh criticism about his decision to work with President Trump. The backlash starting when Trump advisor Katrina Pearson posted a tweet expressing her appreciation for Ice Cube's willingness to help the administration develop what is being called the Platinum Plan for black communities. Critics questioning the rap star's motives, noting that in 2018 he released a track with lyrics calling for the arrest of Donald Trump. Ice Cube says he is not endorsing Trump and is open to working with Joe Biden's campaign.
Both campaigns contacted me. Both campaigns wanted to talk to me about the contract with Black America. One campaign said, we love what you have, but let's really dig into it after the election. And one campaign said, we love what you have. Do you mind talking to us about it? And that's what I did.
Ice Cube says he has come up with his own plan for racial justice called the Contract with Black America.
I'm not going there talking about minorities. I'm not going there talking about people of color or diversity or none of that stuff. I'm going there for Black Americans, the ones who are the descendants of slaves.
The rapper also fighting back on social media, saying he is bipartisan.